us on YouTube, you can see that in the description or in the chat, the link to the Zoom session, you can directly join into the Zoom session using this particular link. Okay, let me share the link with everyone. Yeah. Yeah. So how many of you are attending for the first time to this session? Type me in the chat box. Okay. Hey, Sujat. Okay, first time. No worries, no worries. So you will have all the sessions on YouTube itself, right? So you can watch them, right? If you're not part of the WhatsApp group, you can see here I'm sharing the link to the WhatsApp group as well. You can join in and know more details on the group itself, right? So there goes the Zoom link. And let me paste the WhatsApp link as well. Yeah. Okay. So let's begin. So like every day, we are going to do the whole open technique, which would require us to close our eyes and be in a focused environment. So I request everybody to close their eyes and relax their breathing. Okay. Take a deep breath. Put your hand on your heart. And you'll be repeating after me these 4 high energy, high vibration statements. Okay. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. So you're going to say these to yourself. You're going to talk to yourself, your beautiful spirit, your energy. Okay. Put your hand on your heart. Repeat after me. I will be taking my name. You'll be taking yours. I'm really sorry, Sachi, for not taking care of you. I'm really sorry, Sachi, for not taking care of you. I am so sorry for disconnecting with you. I'm so sorry for leaving you alone. I am the one who judges you so much. I am the one who criticizes you so much. Please forgive me for underestimating you. Forgive me for not believing in you. Thank you, dear Sachi, for letting me have this beautiful experience of life. Thank you so much. From now on, it doesn't matter who doesn't love you. It doesn't matter who doesn't appreciate you, because I promise you from now on, I love you, dear Sachi. I am here and I would never let you go again. Slowly open your eyes, rub your hands together, and put that energy to your face. Okay, great. So give me one word in the chat box. So how was the experience of the whole open technique? So what is the difference that you're able to see before and after the technique? Yes, we have Rahul says, amazing, relaxed, peace, Sujat, calm. That's really nice. Okay, great. So now we'll get into our session. So today is our day 4, and as you remember, we have our day 5 on. The day 5 will be tomorrow, right? So let me just pull up the presentation. We are here. Okay, so let me know if you're able to see my screen. Great. Let's put the good translation. So till today, we have learned a little basics of blockchain, and we are also going to cover a little more of the previous topics like a revision, because tomorrow being the day 5, where we'll be talking about more about our community and how you can get into this industry. We'll revise all the topics today, right? Great. So today we are going to talk about Hyperledger, right? So now till now we have understood what are blockchain networks and blockchain ledger, right? So we'll also understand this new variant of this particular networks, which is Hyperledger, and we'll understand this with an example. Okay. So now let's just say if a person A wants to purchase something from person B, and that particular person, the merchant, has given a specific order, especially only for this particular person, and rest other people are not aware about this specialty, right? But if such a transaction happens on blockchain, the nature of the blockchain is people will know all the details of that particular transaction, right? Right? People are aware. So all the information is available on the block, right? Though it is encrypted, it is all available, right? So how many of you have understood this till here? Type U in the chat box, right? So in regular blockchain, all the transaction data is available for all the nodes. Okay? But what if we want some specific detail of information only to be available for these two people? Now, how do we do that, right? That is where Hyperledger comes into focus. Okay. Now, let's just say we'll take the example of a supply chain system. Now, what happens here is a person A wants to send something to person B, and first they have to give it to the shipping agent, and then the logistics verification will happen. Then, how do we distribute from where, which place to which place this will go? That distribution logic is planned, right? Then the payment verification is done, right? So these are all the steps in the supply chain. But if we want a few of the details, like the special deal that was given by the merchant to the customer, and we want this particular information only to be known to these people, and the rest of the people will know only information relevant to them, right? So now how do we do that on a blockchain? Would be interesting step, right? So how many of you are curious to know how can we solve such a problem in blockchain where only two people know some specific part of the information, two particular nodes, right? Type C in the chat. Okay, great. So now how do we go forward? Thank you so much, Ramesh. So in regular blockchain networks, everybody has the information, and in Hyperledger, what happens is this is also known as permissioned access to information, right? And what happens is a specific detail is only available to these particular nodes. And if you see, this information is not available to rest of the other nodes. So that is the logic of this Hyperledger, right? So that is why these are also known as permissioned networks. Okay. So now many people think this is also from the blockchain ecosystem, but this Hyperledger is from the Linux Foundation. The same Linux Foundation that has worked on many other popular projects like Node.js, Drone Code. They also have built the Hyperledger. Now you can understand Hyperledger as a custom or a customized version of the blockchain, right? So this can be suited for supply chain. This can be suited for any other business logic as well, right? So for example, if we have some other business logic which is document management, you can use it for that particular use case, and you can customize this particular Hyperledger to only that documentation kind of a logic as well, right? So great. So now let's also understand what are the difference between blockchain networks and Hyperledger. Okay, so we have understood that blockchain networks have all of the information available for everyone, though it's encrypted. But in Hyperledger, it is permissioned network, right? So now the network is permissioned. The detail is available only to the nodes that have the permission to access that particular information, right? So now if you compare this with the popular blockchain networks, which are the Bitcoin or the Ethereum, now Bitcoin and Ethereum blockchain networks have their own cryptocurrency. Okay, but Hyperledger does not require any cryptocurrency. It is because it is a customized, blockchain network that does not require any cryptocurrency. So this is not for that particular thing. So that Hyperledger does not have any specific cryptocurrency here, right? And if yesterday we have discussed about smart contract, right? So now Bitcoin does not have any way to write a smart contract or build a customized logic onto Bitcoin. But Ethereum, yesterday as we discussed, with the use of Solidity language, you can write a smart contract to automate any specific logic of the business, right? So yesterday we have discussed about an insurance kind of a business logic where the claim can be automated once a particular set of conditions are true, right? So that kind of logic could be written using smart contracts, and smart contracts in Ethereum on the Ethereum blockchain network could be written by Solidity language, right? So now in Hyperledger also you can have such smart contracts. This requires different. This uses a different language, which is the chain code, right? But now you have understood the Hyperledger. Just to summarize, people who have just joined, now in general blockchain networks, all the information is available for everyone. But in Hyperledger, it is permission. Specific set of information is only available to specific nodes. The rest of the nodes have only limited access. It could be just view access. Maybe they cannot edit it, right? So that sort of permission setting can be done here. Okay. So if you're clear what is a Hyperledger and who has come up with the Hyperledger, type C in the chat. Okay. So we have friends on YouTube and social channels. Okay. Thank you so much, Sarjania. That's great. Okay. So we'll revise also a few concepts that we have covered, right? Because tomorrow being our day 5, the graduation day, because this particular 5-day program is, covers the beginner level of all of the logic, all of the concepts. That is the reason we are going to revise it, and tomorrow we are going to talk a little more about what are the prospects for you in this particular industry as well. Yeah, Ramesh, you can call permissioned in a way private, right? So now, for example, if you want to have a blockchain ecosystem like we discussed today, the supply chain, a particular set of information can be private between two particular nodes, right? And now you can set access to the other nodes if they should be able to edit it, they should be able to view it or not, right? So it is a personalized or a customized or a private use case of the blockchain network, right? That's a good question, Ramesh. Now, just to revise from day 1, we have covered how the evolution of money. Then we understood the 2008 financial crisis, which caused the havoc and which led or triggered the origin of the cryptocurrency, right? So we have discussed that particular step, and later we also understood what are the properties of cryptocurrencies or bitcoins, right? So we understood the nature of the cryptocurrencies, which is the decentralized nature, and when was the paper published, and how it was connected to the 2008 crisis. Okay, so then we also understood the other properties, which are excluding the intermediaries in any particular transaction, how to stop double spending, right? Double spending as in, how to stop counterfeit or fake transactions. Like if somebody is there who is saying, I have a Bitcoin and I'm giving it to 2 people, like if the same, that is not possible, because I cannot fake a transaction or a spending, because all of the people in the blockchain are aware about the transaction. So there will be no double spending, right? So we also covered that. And this is a self-regulated system guided by its own protocol. So we've discussed about that. The immutability property, which is Bitcoin or the cryptocurrencies uh, or any node in the blockchain, is only added. It cannot be edited or modified. So that is the immutability property of the cryptocurrencies. And we also discussed about the single point of failure that was there in the Federal Reserve, the financial crisis, which caused the financial crisis. But now this is not a case in the Bitcoin because it is a distributed ledger. Now it is a distributed ecosystem. Right? Now participants can mine, observe, and transact. Mine, we'll also discuss about it. What is mining here is there are special nodes in the blockchain which validate the transaction, which process the transaction, right? So those nodes are called miners, and those are the nodes which keep checking and observing, and adding all the new particular transactions, right? So we have discussed these details. We also understood that the ownership of Bitcoin is cryptographic, key based, where we also, yes, Priyanka, we'll also come back to mining. Once again, we have a detailed slide for that. Right. So now Bitcoin, when we say it is cryptographic key based ownership, we also understood that the digital signature portion. For example, we understood encryption. In encryption, there is a public key and there is a private key. So all the information can be decrypted only when you have access to that secret or the key. So we also understood in our coming slides, we'll see how hashing happens and how these are encrypted. Right? Now, ownership of funds proven only using digital signature. Basically, if you have any specific your own identity with only with that identity, you will be able to prove your ownership. If at all you lose your digital signature, you will not be able to access your own funds. So it is the most important thing if you are owning a wallet or a funds in any cryptocurrency exchange. Right. So transactions are irrefutable, which is the same thing where you will not be able to modify or change the transactions. So we understood encryption also. We understood the smallest portion of Bitcoins. Also, we've also understood that.
Actually, one question. Can I ask?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Basically, actually, when we are doing the transactions in Bitcoin, suppose we are purchasing Bitcoin and selling it. So that time, the money, whatever suppose I purchase one Bitcoin, so I am paying from my bank account, right?
Correct.
So that money goes to wallet.
Correct.
So this is a decentralized system. So how the banking system and the decentralized system, how it has been connected and where that money goes and where that is stored?
Correct. So
because banks are not involved in these things, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So
basically, currently now all of the Bitcoin or cryptocurrency purchases happen through an exchange, right? So now these crypto exchanges, you can consider them synonymous to your stock market exchanges, right? So now you buy portion of any particular share using your regular money, right? So similarly, now it is like an online purchase that you're making. So when you're talking about banking systems being in favor of Bitcoins or governments being in favor of Bitcoins, that is a different thing. But if you are making purchase on an exchange, that is an online transaction, right? So that is the reason you are actually able to get access to the exchange, and via that purchase any particular Bitcoin or Ethereum or any other thing. So now these exchanges are registered on the block, and they have their own logic on the Web3 API, and they are able to give that ownership to your own wallet. So now how these exchanges work is, whenever you create an account on this exchange, you will create your own Bitcoin wallet ID or the blockchain. And whenever you make a purchase, that comes into that particular ID. Right? So now this exchange is acting as a third party where they earn a commission or an add-on value when the transaction is happening. So that is the reason you are able to make that particular transaction. So, am I clear here, Abbas?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Priyanka ma'am, what can be done if we forget the key? Now, forgetting the key, especially when we are talking about cryptocurrency wallet, there is nothing that can be done, because if you lose access to that particular key, you will not be able to access your funds. So that is the reason there are even different types of ways to store your keys. People store their keys in some hardware which is only unlocked with their fingerprint, or they write it in some safe place. So that is something that we have to take care of. How to generate crypto keys? Can my encrypted key is generated on Bitcoin network valid for Ethereum network? I think Ramesh sir, you might have to unmute and clarify on the question. Yeah, so creating any wallet or an account does not require programming language. But if you are trying to write a smart contract, like for example, if you're working for, take the common example, if you're working for a supply chain business use case, then you might have to write a logic. For example, some supply is happening, somebody is getting something, and you want to make the payment, or you want to register this as a successful transaction. So you might have to write this logic on that particular block that is there. So then you will require the programming language. But to access funds or cryptocurrencies, you would not require a programming language. So when you are going forward to become a blockchain professional or a blockchain developer, which we'll also discuss on our graduation day, you require programming language. Can we use Python for it? Right. So it depends upon the blockchain network. Yesterday we discussed about Solidity, which is very similar to JavaScript, but there are other blockchain networks, or even the Hyperledger we discussed, chain code, that uses portion of Python. So not all languages can use Python for writing smart contracts, right? So there is a different syntax for each and everything. So you better off you are with, if you want to become a blockchain programmer, you are better off sticking to the popular languages, which are like the Solidity, Rust, and all those things, right? So we cover Solidity and the basics of that in our bigger course, which is the blockchain silver, or a portion of that, which is the blockchain bronze also, which we'll also be discussing tomorrow. Right? So Ramesh sir, I'm just trying to understand your question once again. How to generate crypto keys? Can my encrypted keys generate on Bitcoin? So basically, if your question is whatever keys that are generated for Bitcoin network, is it valid for Ethereum network? No, I mean, so basically a common wallet can be used for Bitcoin and Ethereum network. But if you are, let's say you cannot build logic on Bitcoin, but if you are writing something on Ethereum network, that smart contract is usable on that particular network. But if you want to use your digital signature and make transaction of purchase on Bitcoin or Ethereum, then you can use your common wallet, right? I think I could make that. Yeah. Yes, Ramesh sir, we have talked about wallets in yesterday's session. Because this is your first session, I would request you to go to the YouTube live and look for that particular session, because our sessions are very short. These particular 5-day challenge sessions are very short. So in interest of time, I'll share the link with you. Okay. So thank you so much for the engagement, and let's continue. We've also understood a portion of the encryption, which is use of hash functions, where we also hashed in our quiz or in our exercise yesterday also, where we could convert any particular text phrase into a fixed length complex text phrase, right? So let me just give you an example. The people who are just joining for the first time. Okay, I'm just going to open this link. Yeah, how many of you are able to see my screen? Type see in the chat box.
Yeah, we are seeing.
Yeah, thank you so much. Right, so now I'm going to type. This is the SHA-256 hashing function. This is what Bitcoin originally uses for connecting two particular nodes, the logic. We'll cover that details of it in our larger course, but for you to be confident and go ahead, these basics would be helping you to get started. For example, I write anything and I want to hash it or encrypt it using hash functions. I'm going to say, if I'm going to write India here, you can see that there is a hash key that got generated here. So blockchain uses these to connect every node, and hence also keeps the whole of the network protected. Right. So
One question here.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Actually, that keys output that you generated, it gives only 64 bits of this one fixed length. So that is fixed everywhere, or it is changing?
No, you're talking about the number of characters. Abbas,
Yeah.
No, see, number of characters and bits are different. Now, bits are made of zeros and ones, and it's basically 256 bit. When we mean it is the output, right? It includes zeros and ones and that kind of an output. Now, this is encoded, right? It does not have 256 characters. That would be complex for even us to handle. That will become difficult. The output, the memory size that it takes is 256. Okay.
One confusion.
Please.
Last time I generated that key with the word India. It gives me only 64 characters only output.
Correct.
So, and I tried that by removing the last digits of India. I removed A, and I kept only four digits. Then it is giving only 64 characters only.
So that is the nature of the hashing function #256. We want something that is fixed length. Now, even if you write a single character, it will be 64, but it will be encrypted. Now, this is hashed I. Okay, so we want something which is fixed length, but also want it to be encrypted. So it does not mean that if you reduce the number of letters here, the hash value, whatever is coming, will also reduce in size. So that is not it. So because when we have a fixed length, it becomes easier for us to connect nodes with nodes and do processing on the blockchain network.
Okay. So this will be same for everything.
Your confusion is we're not saying 256 character or 64 character anyway. Yeah, so the character size is different. We've not discussed about the character size, but the output is called the 256 bit output because this has a 256.
Okay, I got it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Even in detail, like we have also shown in our encryption system where Professor Pandurangan goes in detail about explaining how to manually arrive at this particular string value. He tells about what is the difference. This 256 is called the SHA-256 is called a compression function. There's a lot of logic behind it. So that logic at this moment, because the course is it's more like a refresher and gives you a brief understanding. We're not understanding how this particular hash value is coming.
Okay.
Yeah, there's more to that in our bigger course, which will also be explaining tomorrow. So.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much. And so we discussed that particular hashing functions also, and more clarity has come with your questions as well. And yesterday we also understood what are traditional applications, how they work via APIs, and how are blockchain applications or decentralized applications working, and what is the role of smart contracts in that, right? So if there's any confusion, maybe I suggest you to go revise to that particular lecture, that particular session, to understand what are smart contracts as well. And to write these particular smart contracts, we use a language called Solidity, which sits in the backend portion. Now, like we understood the web exchange kind of a interface. Like for example, you try to make a call, like you say, I want to make a purchase of this using look and feel, buttons and all those things. Then that call goes in the backend, and that calls the smart contract, which has the logic of giving that particular point to you and deducting wallet balance from you. So smart contracts are nothing but small immutable logic points. So there is the logic written out in this smart contracts. We covered this also greatly. We understood the advantages, which is the autonomy, trust, and accuracy that comes with the smart contracts, right? So we also understood, how smart contracts work in general, right? So now, in interest of time, we're not covering this because this is just a revision, but we've understood smart contracts as smaller portions of code which provide one specific logic for any specific action, right? So for example, if you want to do a transaction, that transaction related code is written out in the smart contract, right? So we'll quickly cover a few questions that are in general asked in interviews. Like for example, if somebody asks you what type of records can be kept in blockchain, now it can store any kind of record. It could be a medical transaction, it could be a business transaction, it could be documentation. So there is no restriction on what type of records can be stored on a blockchain. So we thought of what is mining. This is also a question that people ask. So mining is a process of adding records to the public ledger, appending to the end of the blockchain. So we are going to keep on adding new nodes and new transactions to the already existing ledger, and the processing of it and adding the process of adding this transaction is called the mining, right? So these are special nodes which hold the copy of that particular ledger. Like everybody has the public access, but these miners have special algorithms which validate and facilitate this to the whole of the network, right? So a general question is also like, how is this blockchain ledger different from ordinary ledgers? Like for example, a bank ledger. Now in a bank ledger, you can perform all the transaction, you can edit, modify, create kind of an operation can be done. In blockchain, it is only read or create alone, right? So the errors are less in blockchain, and the same copy of the ledger exists in the entire system, right? So these are a few questions that come up. We'll also share the quiz on the WhatsApp group. People who are joining us on YouTube for the first time, you can see in chat, there is a link for WhatsApp group where we'll be putting our quiz and more details as well. So thanks for making this session interactive, Ramesh sir, Priyanka ma'am, Ayush, Abbas Sahib sir, and everyone. So I would request you to please be there for our graduation day tomorrow, and we'll be sharing a form where you can fill in your details as well. So tomorrow we are also going to cover how blockchain is growing and how are the prospects for individuals who are just beginning, our prospects for people who are already in the workforce and trying to get into blockchain. So we are also going to discuss all of that. We're also going to discuss about our community and all of the details, right? So thank you so much for joining, and the recording of the same will be available on YouTube. Right?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the graduation day, Ramesh sir asks, this is a 5-day program and tomorrow is the graduation day. I request you to go through all the 4 days sessions. So let me share the link. Please join the WhatsApp group. Okay. So tomorrow we'll be sharing more details about the bigger program, which is the blockchain bronze or the blockchain silver. Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. Really a pleasure. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Connected to your account, right? So then the transaction goes to the network and your wallet gets updated with the new amount, right? So, and whatever you requested for also gets processed, right? So how many of you have understood this till now? Type you in the chat box, right? So yes, thank you so much, Saurabh. Thanks, Sugandh. Thanks, Sham. Thanks, Rachna. Okay, so you understood.